FM, The Source.
All right, 5 minutes after 9 o'clock. You know what they're calling that storm? They're calling it the Four Easters. The fourth nor'easter in like 3 weeks or something like that.
Oh, my.
I have the live streaming of Times Square on my phone because I like looking at it. Are you looking for your picture? And it's snowing there right now. It's snow flurries. Probably won't stick. But the point is, I mean, how many of these people are fed up with it and saying, a foot of snow on Long Island today, they're saying. A foot.
Oh, nice.
Right? So they are. So if you're listening up north, we do have this streaming on the internet, so it's possible. The two handsome men on the picture right there. Let me move that logo out of the way so you can see. These are Robert, of course, Robert Colen from Top of the World, and Bo Stepp. He is coming in here also with Top of the World, and he's a Marine.
Yes, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Tell me I would remember to say that. See, Robin reminds me of those things. Anyway, we're talking about some of the new plans for On Top of the World. So a lot of people probably are familiar with On Top of the World. Do you market up in the New York area, Robert?
Sure we do. Absolutely.
How do you do it, like with TV ads and stuff?
They do TV. Well, we don't do TV ads. We do mailings, of course, and then they have what were the shows where the people come to, like conventions and that kind of stuff.
Is that right? Do you know what
Yeah.
I remember as a kid? I remember a model house on Long Island that my grandparents went to that was the house they moved into in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
1960 something.
We had a guy who worked for us for a long time. He's still involved with On Top of the World, Phil Ferranda, and he was involved with building Beverly Hills, and he was the one who would go up to New York and do that kind of stuff.
Is that right? So I don't know if that would work today in today's world.
I don't know either.
I mean, it looked so out of place. It was like a beautiful little house in the middle of all this other stuff that didn't fit. You know, it didn't fit the architecture or whatever.
And what we build is concrete block, and most of the houses up there are mostly wood.
Yeah, I guess so. So good morning, guys.
Good morning. Great to see you.
Hey, how are you doing? We were talking this morning about the incorporated versus unincorporated. Is Top of the World ever going to be a city of itself with its own zip code and all that, or do you already have your own?
We don't have our own zip code. We're part of part of it's 34476 and 34481, but there's no intention to incorporate ourselves. We did that in Sidney Colen, who originated On Top of the World. He did that originally in the St. Petersburg area in Pinellas County. He created Kenneth City after his son Kenneth Colen, and he did incorporate that.
Oh, really?
And he built an entire city of fire departments and city halls and police stations and all that kind of stuff. So, and with own water supplies.
So help me understand Government 101. Incorporated means there's an elected.
It becomes elected
Group of people, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
No, of course, we have a homeowners association that does a similar function in a lot of ways.
So it's similar. Yeah.
And we do, and we provide in some areas, we do the maintenance of the landscaping. In some areas, we actually maintain the roofs of houses, and we maintain the painting.
But see, that is what makes it so unique.
Yeah.
If I say I'm moving to name any city, I can't go to City Hall and say, hey, I got my lawn needs to be cut.
That's right.
Right? I mean, that's pretty cool. You cut the grass.
That's true.
I would think that would be a perfect snowbird opportunity. I don't know if you like snowbirds or not, but I don't mean like them, but I mean like the idea of people leaving their house empty. But
Well, we got a lot of snowbirds.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why On Top of the World became a maintenance-free community, and especially in the St. Petersburg area when Sidney Colen built Clearview Oaks. It was to say, okay, you want to leave for a couple of months, and you don't have to worry about your grass. You don't have to worry about repainting your house and your roof and anything. This is a great place for you to live. Come stay here.
And now with today's technology, you can even keep an eye on it.
And there's a lot of people who have those. Well, they have security cameras in their house, around their house.
Yeah,
they have those doorbell cameras, and you can even unlock your doors from
So
a distance.
Between you and me and this audience, this is what I want to be. I want to be a snowbird. I might want to be the reverse, though. I might want to be here in summer and there in winter because I miss the snow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe 1 year and I'll change my mind. I'll be the other. So what would that be, Bo? A sandbird if I did it the opposite?
Most likely,
a sandbird.
So how do you alleviate people's fears about homeowners associations? Because some communities, they're not so good, but yours is incredible.
We try to be very transparent. We follow the rules that we implement, and sometimes that's not great. Some homeowners don't like it that we don't let them to have the big pink flamingos in their front yard, and we don't let them do certain things.
You don't like the flamingos?
No, actually, you're probably allowed to have one, but you can't have 12.
Do you know it's supposed? They want to make it not a state bird, but a native bird. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, apparently it was almost, extinct because of hunting.
Yeah.
Apparently it tastes better than chicken.
I've heard that about ostrich too. So one of the reasons why we came in, we want to talk about it, and one of the things that Bo really leads the way in is the new communities that we build. And we're actually looking to expand to a new community that will be outside the gates of Current on Top of the World, that will be not just for retirees, but for all families, including children.
Oh.
And it's going to be right near Westport High School. And I thought, Bo's so knowledgeable about this kind of stuff. I thought he'd be great to talk about it today and just say, here's something we've got on the agenda.
Yeah. Well, good morning again, Bo. Thank you for coming in. And thank you for your service.
Service.
You kind of ribbed me a little bit where Robert did about remembering. And it's Robin who remembers that you're a Marine. And then when I looked at you, I would have remembered. Because you kind of look like G.I. Joe a little bit.
I've actually heard that before.
Have you really?
Yes.
Anyway, so thank you for what you have done and what you're doing now. So when you are planning a new community,
right,
do the plans have a benefit that the other ones didn't have because you learn from each community?
Well, we certainly try to, and we certainly try to improve on what we offer. Strengthen what we've learned that people liked, and eliminate the things that didn't work so well.
Are they structural things or policy things?
It could be any combination of that, from structural things in the actual the homes, to the way the neighborhoods lay out, to the amenity packages that we offer, and really with the new area that Robert's talking about, that will offer neighborhoods for families. One of the things we want to bring to that area, which isn't very prominent in typical Ocala subdivisions, that we have become very good at over the years, is the amenities and the way that we program amenities. So we've learned a great many lessons, most of them taught to us by our residents, on programming for active adult communities. And so having a amenitized family community with programmed activities is something that's really not prominent in the Ocala area. So it's one of our strengths, and it's something that we think we can do really well at.
And I think to follow up on that, it's really going to be developing a community feel to what this new neighborhood's called. And I'd like Bo to just talk about what that community's name is, because it's really interesting.
Oh, what is
and
it?
what it means.
Yeah, so it's called Palani, which is a take on a Timucuan word.
What kind of word?
Timucuan.
Okay.
So it's Native American.
Okay.
They were from this area.
It sounds like a sport, doesn't it?
Almost, yeah.
It's from Harry Potter. So.
Right.
Yeah. So, and it loosely means morning, or the new day that comes, the time right before dawn.
What's it called? Pecani?
Palani. Yes, Palani.
Okay.
And it's just an homage to the fact that on that property there has existed native peoples that dating back to prehistory.
Oh my!
So it's an interesting property. We had an archaeological exploration on the property. It's just got a very deep history.
Did you find any arrowheads ever?
We found all manner of artifacts. Yes.
Really? Can you talk about that a little bit? What did you find?
Everything from pottery to arrowheads to tools.
Isn't that fascinating?
It is.
Dating back
It is fascinating.
thousands and thousands of years. Yeah.
Wow.
No ancient burial grounds for you.
Oh, no mastodons?
No.
Well, they found not saber-toothed tiger. What were the ones that were like the ones like big elephants like?
Yeah, that's mastodons.
Was it?
Oh, you did find a mastodon.
There was bones for things like that around. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at the property, do you know in advance how many homes that you want to build, or are they going to be single family dwellings or apartments, or what is that gonna do?
Well, so that really is taken care of in the planning phases. So you have an idea of what you want the community to look like, and then you work with your local government, and they tell you what you can do to that extent. But yeah, so the plan for us now is to offer a multitude of styles for single-family houses, possibly some attached, maybe some apartments. Really, we're trying to be really flexible and really bring to market what the market needs.
How many houses are we looking at?
Close to 4,000 in that area. It's a big
Really?
piece of property, yeah. So the
Oh my
property that
gosh.
we're talking about is not what you typically think of the core of On Top of the World, which is down by State Road 200, and that's the predominance of our retirement community.
Wow, you guys are just getting so big. So how do you know? What determines the 4,000 number? Is it the size of the land?
It is. It's the size of the land and the type of use that that the land could be zoned for. So you were asking before about incorporated and unincorporated, and On Top of the World is in unincorporated Marion County, so it's not in the city of Ocala. But it is within what the county has designated as its urban growth center. So it is. So it has a higher density in those areas, and that allows the urban growth to concentrate in the areas where facilities appropriate to that many homes and people exist, and then it preserves the rural areas outside of that boundary.
So what kind of amenities were included that the community at large was asking for?
You mean in On Top of the World or in the future community?
Well, I'm guessing it comes from both, right? It comes
Yeah, it
from
does
people
come
who
from
live there now and have
Right.
asked for things. Like, is movie theater one of them? Somebody called about that just the other day, asking if there
No,
was.
actually, I haven't heard that.
It's not a movie theater over that way, is there? At all, right? Whether in your property or the closest one is here in Ocala,
Yeah,
right?
it's only 15 minutes from where we are.
Yeah,
so.
it's true. It's true.
Yeah. A lot of our amenities really focus around activity. So it's walking trails. We have a couple of different fitness,
Recreational facilities. yeah.
recreation facilities. Tennis, pickleball. Those sorts of things. Just really focusing around being active and staying active.
And that's what you're going to incorporate in the new community?
Yeah, we hope
That type
to.
of thing?
Right. So really the theme there is community connectivity. So there'll be a system of trails and pathways, and it'll all be interconnected. You'll have parks and plazas, playgrounds, things like
That's a
that.
huge area.
It is a huge area.
Huge.
It is a huge area. It's
Huge.
it's over 1,000 acres.
Will there be, then, since all those families would move in eventually, would Marion County consider building a middle school in that area?
Possibly. We've spoken with the school board about that possibility. So we have in our development activity a future plan for a school. And we don't know what type of school that's going to be, but we know that we have, because of how many homes we're allowed to develop, we have that sitting there, that development entitlement for a school.
And to add on to that, right next to that property, and when you go so that's on 80th Avenue, right around 38th Street, between 38th Street and 63rd Street. That property kind of goes out, and it goes from 80th Avenue all the way over to 60th Avenue, so
Okay.
Southwest 60th
Right.
Avenue.
okay.
So
South
it
of the
runs like
airport.
along just south of the airport. And it kind of borders Four Ranch area. So you think that when you get closer to 60th Avenue, we have a huge office park designated there. So it would be what we call a work, live, play kind of community that you'll be able to have. And we're waiting for the right, industrial complex or light manufacturer, distribution center kind of to come into that area. And there would be a place for you to work, then you can live, and then you can use the facilities that either we provide or that the city of Ocala provides right there at the the city's facilities across the street towards the airport.
Oh, wonderful.
Do you have a lot of inner top of the world moves? Like, do people move from one section to another?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not infrequent. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, and really a lot of that is that people will buy into, like, say, Candler Hills, and they'll be a little younger, 60s, and they love living in On Top of the World. They love having their house there. But as they get a little older, they don't want to have to maintain the grass, and they don't want to have to maintain so much of the house.
Sure.
And they'll look for a house inside an older community or where we provide more of the services of maintaining your house. Candler, it's fee simple. You own the house, you maintain it, you take care of it, and then inside On Top of the World Central, the association provides for repainting, and we maintain your roof for you. And there's a lot of other services. We maintain your yard. So then you can go in there and take, and it's like a nice transition it's before independent living in a sense. You still live on your own, you still have your own house, but we take care of a lot of the main structural concerns you might have.
And when you build in the new community, what kind of sewer system and water are you going to have? Is it tied into Ocala or?
No, it's not. So On Top of the World is served by what we call the Bay Laurel Community Development District.
If you remember, I brought Brian
Oh,
Schmaltz
that's
on
right.
some
Yeah.
time ago.
So the water and sewer system was started by On Top of the World, and then it was turned over to the Community Development District, which is a quasi-governmental agency. So it has a board of directors, and it functions much like a city commission or a county commission would. But it exists to provide water and sewer services. So we will build all of those services, and then the Bay Laurel Center will operate them. So On Top of the World really has its own water and sewer centralized system.
This is exciting.
What is the most?
love this.
Okay, this is gonna sound like a dumb question, but I'm just wondering, what's the most fun part when somebody builds a house? They always say the most fun part is the end, the end thing, the final touches. Is it the same thing when you're doing a whole community?
Well, for me personally, the fun part for me is the first part.
Oh, really?
Because the first part is when we are viewing the land, finding out, we're really taking a close look at it. We do our environmental assessments, which is, I grew up in rural communities and I grew up outside. So getting the opportunity to get paid to spend time outside in the bushes with our environmental consultants is really
that.
one of
I like that,
one of
yeah.
my favorite
Where did
parts
you
of
grow
my
up?
job.
Where did you grow
I
up?
grew up in the Panhandle of Florida.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. And the time is different over there, isn't it?
In more ways than one. Yes.
The Panhandle is like a different state, isn't it?
It really is.
It's a beautiful area.
Yeah, when I lived up there, we joked that it was Lower Alabama. Right?
Okay, yeah, I could see that. Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of trees and stuff, and is that part of the planning too? Is the actual trees and the?
It is, and we actually spend a lot of time making sure that we get that right. So we don't want to remove any specimen oaks that have been growing on the property for 100 years because you cannot replace something like that. I mean, there's no amount of money
I
that
know
you
what
can
you're
spend
saying, yeah,
to replace
yeah.
something like that. So whenever there's those key features like that, like specimen trees or very interesting land features
Yeah,
of some
yeah.
sort, we really endeavor to preserve those things.
They're taking them down. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but there's an old horse, not old, but there's a horse farm on 200, not too far from you, actually.
Winding Oaks.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
it.
and I saw that they were taking down some of those big trees. I guess they have to. They're building businesses or something there. But
Yep.
you see that happening, and you go, oh no, those things have to be older than Christ, right?
Right.
I mean, they're so huge. Like the one at Checkers, at Checkers on Silver Springs Boulevard. Have you ever seen that tree?
No.
I mean that Jesus prayed under that tree. I don't know if you ever got to Florida, but do you guys want to take a phone call?
Sure.
All right,
sure.
let me ask you to put your headsets on, and I will take the phone call. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Good morning. You're on the air. Thank you for calling.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. I'm not a tree hugger or one of those people that think everything should be natural forever, but I'm just wondering, with the development and these communities, how does this work out with the things like the groundwater, the aquifer, planting, some of the wildlife there? I know years ago there was a big to-do about gopher turtles, but I'm quite sure there's a lot of other things that are, taking place every time you do a community like that. And I do respect the fact that you not just build houses, but you're there after that last house is built. And I think that's very admirable. But I'm just wondering, how do you address that? And I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
So there's a lot of things to unpack there. There was a couple of questions there. So by starting with his question about the aquifer, because that's really where it starts. It all starts on the ground. And so the Bay Laurel District, the water provider, so they have a permit from the state that allows them to pump X number of gallons of water out of the ground. And they have rules and regulations of how they can pump and how they can send it out. And then so from that, we develop in such a way that we try to be sensitive to the topography. And I'm trying not to get too wonky with my answer, because this is something that I can really nerd out about. So the Central Florida area, it really, we have the springs in our area and the springs protection areas, and we have a limestone layer under all of Central Florida, and it's what they call a karst topography, and it's what makes sinkholes in the area prevalent. You're always hearing about them. So we do a lot of geotechnical work, geotechnical testing of the underground conditions before we develop. So we're putting our rainwater in the right place when it's collected and sent to the stormwater ponds, so that we put them in the right places in the right manner, so that we don't promote those things from happening. And then, like I was alluding to with the environmental assessments that we do, so we do have things on our property like gopher tortoises and the Florida scrub jay,
Red cockaded woodpeckers.
Yep, and indigo snakes, protected species like that. And because we're here for a long time, we're going to live with these things for a long time, and we want to do this thing that we're doing correctly. And so we spend a lot of time on the front end determining the impacts to those sort of things.
And I'll kind of take it from there. Ken Colen, who's the president of On Top of the World, he kind of is a tree hugger. He loves trees. He's a capitalist too, but his focus from the beginning has always been protecting the environment, protecting the natural land that's there, and protecting the water as well. And he's really a leader in that, and I think Bo would agree with that. And when Bo's talking about we're directing water to retention areas, and there's a mitigation process involved in also making sure that water doesn't poison the aquifer. I think that's a concern maybe that the caller had, and also that. We want to make sure that when we take like the sewer water in, and that's all cleaned and it's purified, and then that's all sent back out to the nitrogen that's in there is used to help the grasses grow. So there's a lot of efforts that are taken at every stage to protect the environment, to protect the native trees that are there that have been there a long time. Bo was talking about how even when we design roads, the roads go around a lot of those trees and protect them. And throughout whatever we do, it's always focused on how do we protect what's here, because it's so beautiful. But it's also the right thing to do.
It is beautiful, and it's good to know that it comes from the top down, and it's good to know that in Bo's case, I mean, you're an outdoors guy, and so it's very important to you. We do have another phone call. Do you want to keep your headsets on?
Keep my headsets on.
I'm sorry. Good morning. Thank you for calling and for waiting. You're on the air.
Good morning. Good morning, gentlemen. I would really hope and appreciate. Let me lower my radio. I'm so sorry. I appreciate what you've said about respecting the environment. A huge issue. I attended the Silver Springs Alliance organization. A huge issue, though. And not even bringing up the alliance and what their major thrust was. Are you considering using alternative ground covers? The everything that's put down on these lawns that are really so unnatural for the area really seeps down and does a lot of negative to the springs, to our water. So, and in addition to that, are you planning in open spaces within your new development? And what about the impact on traffic? So, and without good water, you know where we'd be. So I'll hang up and appreciate your points. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Those are great questions. I want to thank the caller for that. I'll take a little bit of the landscaping and the protection, and then I think Bo will talk about traffic a lot. It's so much a focus and a goal of what we do every day of preserving and protecting the environment, and not because it's it feels good, but because it's the right thing and because we're looking for the long-term future of
Right.
conservation. So when we design our landscape packages, and we've been really at the forefront of it to the point that even the water management districts that help oversee it have come to us and they said, well, let's see what you guys do because you're really conserving water. We've designed what was called a Water Star package, which is it was originally a St. John's Water Management District that said there's a Water Star program, and we reduced the amount of ground cover of sod, and we put in different kinds of native landscaping that are there to conserve the water usage, so that we basically xeriscaping, XERI scaping, and it's to reduce that amount of water, and that way also reduces the amount of nutrients that you have to put in the ground to keep your grass green, because we don't have as much grass. So even more than 50% of our landscaping is plants and mulch. I think to answer the traffic question, Bo is better suited for that.
So for traffic, we study traffic in a couple of different ways. So you study traffic at the localized level when you do a new development of any kind, whether it's commercial or residential, to make sure that your access points. So if we do commercial out on 200, for example, so you have a localized study that estimates the number of trips that these types of businesses generate, and there is a long list of historical statistics that you point to. So you determine the amount of trips that these particular types of developments make. You study the background trips that already exist on the roadways, and you ensure that you have adequate access into these facilities so that you don't have a line of cars backed up on State Road 200 trying to turn into a business, right? I'm sure that you can all picture a business along State Road 200 that this happens
Yeah.
at. But so we study that at great length, and then also we study our development overall and the number of entitlements that we know we have and we know we can build, and what sort of impacts that has on the roadway network regionally. So what impacts does that have on State Road 200, 80th Avenue, potentially out to I-75, because we do have that many
You really don't
entitlements.
have the traffic situation like the Villages has, and I don't know if I mentioned the Villages, but whenever I go to the Villages, that's always one of the big things. Gosh, there's so much traffic here. So
Right.
you must be doing something different from them.
Right, and it's a lot of long-term planning and preparing for that future and that's road development as well.
Thank you for answering those questions so thoroughly, and thank you for coming in. Bo Stepp, thank you for your service. Robert Colen, thank you for what you do. And what's a good contact information, phone number?
Well, you can call if you're looking to buy a new house. I think it's 854-0805, and you can ask for sales. And of course, the sales office is on State Road 200, right out near the Winn-Dixie. So
Pretty
99th
huge.
Street Road,
On top of the world. Thank you.
Thank you. It's great seeing you again.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion brings together business and community partners, economic development leaders, and educational providers to connect employers with qualified, skilled talent and job seekers with